Hi guys, welcome to Tactic Devs. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to implement sorting in a list view control. Now, I already have a WPF project set up here, so without delay, let's get to the coding. Now, in my project, I added in a class called user, and this class has got three properties defined. That's name, country, and age. Now, I also implemented a constructor that takes in three parameters, and then it assigns the parameters to these three properties. Now I'll be using this user class to populate the list view. So I'll go to the main window.xaml file, and here in the grid I'm going to add in a list view control. I'll assign its name property to my list, and I'll set its top margin to 50 pixels. I'll set the list views view property to a grid view. And inside this grid view, I'm going to define the grid view columns that are going to represent the different properties here, which is name, country, and age. So I'll set the first header property to name, and I'll set the display member binding to binding, and it will bind to the property name of the user class. I'll do the rest the same way. Okay, so here we have the grid view columns defined. Now I'm going to add in two combo boxes here. Okay, all right, so I have the two combo boxes here. Now the purpose of these combo boxes, so the first one will be used to select the property that we are sorting by. So for example, if we are sorting by the name property, we can simply select name, and the second combo box will be used to select the direction of the sort, whether ascending or descending. So for the first combo box, I'll assign the name property to sort by, and for the second I'll assign it to sort direction. Okay, so that's it for the UI here. So I'll go to the code behind. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to define an array of users, which is basically a list of users. So I'll assign its name to users. Now I'm going to add in some instances of the user class. So for the sake of speed, I'll just paste in the code. All right, so I have pasted in the instances of the users here. So we have 20 of them. So I'll just go ahead and then collapse this. Now I want to populate this view in the main window here. Alright, so we have a bunch of user instances here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just collapse this. Now what I want to do here is I want to populate the list view. Now I had assigned its name to my list. So I'll set the items source property to the users array. And that should populate the list. I'll go ahead and test this. Alright, so the application is up and running and the list view has been populated with some data. I'll go ahead and close this. So the next step is to add some items to the two combo boxes that were defined earlier on. So I'll start with the sort by combo box, and I'll do that by setting the item source property to a collection of strings. So I'll set it to a new string array, and I'm going to define 3 strings in this array. So that's name, country, and age. Now for the other combo box, which is the sort direction combo box. Now for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an enum that's defined in a certain namespace. Now that namespace is the system component model namespace. So I'll go ahead and add that namespace. So this namespace has an enum, and this enum will actually be used when creating a sort description. So it's the list sort direction enum. Now we can navigate to this enum's definition, and we can see there are 2 constants defined here, that's ascending and descending. So I'll go to the code behind here. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to get the names of those constants, so that's ascending and descending. Now to do that, I'll use a static method that's defined on the enum class, and that method is called getNames method. I'll define the enum that I want to get the methods from, and that's the list sort direction enum. So what this method does is it extracts the names that are defined in this enum and then returns them as an array, and I bind those to the list source property of this combo box. Now I'll go to the main window.xaml file here. Now here we defined 2 combo boxes. Now by default the combo box will select an empty object. So to override that behavior, I'll set the selected index property to 0. This simply means that the combo box is going to select the first item in the list by default. So I'll go ahead and run this. Alright, so the application is up and running, and we can see the 2 combo boxes have implemented the items here. So we have name, country, and age, ascending and descending. I'll go ahead and close this. So the next step is to implement the sorting. Now for us to do that, we need to return the list views items property. So I'll just type in my list, then I'll get the items. Now the items property is an items collection object, which allows us to perform sorting operations. We can do that by adding to the sort descriptions collection here. This collection allows us to add multiple sort descriptions. Now the sort descriptions are what are going to contain the criteria by which the list is going to sort by. Now the reason it allows us to add in multiple sort descriptions is because sometimes you would want to sort in a certain sequence. So for example, if we have a user item, then we would want to sort it first by age, then by name. So this allows us to do that by simply adding multiple sort descriptions. So I'm going to add in one sort description. So going new sort description. And this sort description takes in two parameters. The first one is the name of the property that we want to sort by. So in this case, I'm going to just type in name by the name property. Then the second one is the sort direction. So I'm just going to set it to ascending. So what's happening here is we are adding a sort description to the list sort descriptions collection. So it's going to sort the list by name in the ascending direction. Now I want this application to be a bit dynamic. By that I mean I would like to change the sort property and the sort direction at runtime. Now I'm going to do that by implementing a separate method that's going to create a sort description based on the selected options on those two combo boxes, and it's going to assign that new sort description to this list. So I'll do that by creating a method public, and it's going to return void. I'll give it a name sort list. So inside this method, I'm going to declare a variable. I'll give it a name sort property. And this variable will be assigned to the selected option from the sort by combo box. So whatever we're going to select in the sort by combo box, so I'll get the selected item, then I'll cast it to a string. So it will basically select the property name that we want to sort by and store it inside this value. I'll create another variable. This will be I'll give it a name sort direction. And this sort direction variable will be set to an enum value, and this enum value is from the sort direction enum, which is either ascending or descending. Now to do that, I'm going to make use of a ternary operator. So I'm going to get the sort direction selected item, then I'll cast it to a string. Then I'm going to define a condition here, which is I'm going to use an operator which is the equal to. Then I'll say ascending. Here I'm going to specify a question mark. So I'll place ascending here. Then I'll specify semicolon. Then on this side, I'll set it to descending. So this is basically a ternary operator. So what's happening here is we have this side, which is the left side of this question mark. This is the condition. So there are only two possibilities. There are basically only two possibilities that can be returned from this combo box. So it's either ascending or descending. Now in this case, I'll get the string, then I'll compare it to this. So if it's ascending, it's going to return this, which is on the left side of this column here. If it's otherwise, which we know in this case will be descending, then it will return what's on the right side here. So this is a ternary operator. So it will either return this or this based on whether this condition is true or false. Then I'll store that enum value in this variable here. Now I'm going to access my list view. items property, then sort descriptions. Now, because the sort description is a collection, I can access the first item, which is this sort description I added in, by just specifying an index. Then I'll assign it to a new sort description. So for this sort description, I'll give it the selected property, which is what I stored in that variable, which is the sort property variable. Then for the second parameter, I'll set it to the sort direction here. So basically what's happening here, I'm getting the lists item, then I'm selecting the first sort description and I'm replacing it with a new sort description based on what was selected on the two combo boxes here. Now I'm accessing the item at the first index. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I had already added in a sort description here. If I do not add this sort description, what would happen is it would raise an error saying that the collection, the index is out of range. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, I'll go to the main window. Now the thing is, I would like to refresh the sort every time I change the selection on this combo box or the selection on this combo box. So I'll implement the selection changed event here. So I'll go to the code behind. Now here in the constructor, I'm going to go, all right, sort by, then selection changed event. Then I'll implement an event handler to handle this event. So by typing this and then double clicking tab, okay, so Visual Studio helped us implement this event handler here, which is the sort by selection changed event. I'll just get rid of that and I'll just change its name to selection changed. Okay. Now I'll just place it at the bottom here. Okay. So whenever the selection is changed on the sort by combo box, it's going to execute the code here. I'll do the same for the other combo box, which is the sort direction. So whenever we change the sort direction, so selection changed. Now for this, I'll point it to the same event handler. So I'll just copy this and paste. So basically what this means is whenever the selection changes on the sort by or sort direction, this function will be executed here. So I'm going to reapply the sort. So just call this method. Then this method will get the selected options and then create a new sort description and then resort the list. Now here, I'm replacing the sort that was described earlier on. So every time this sort list method is executed, it simply replaces only one sort description that was defined at the first index, just replacing it with different criteria. Okay, so that should do it. So I'll go ahead and test the application. Okay, so here we have it up and running. So by default, it's sorting by name in ascending order, and we can see A, B, C, then we have E as we go alphabetically. I'll sort by country. Okay, we have Brazil, France, India, Italy, Sweden. So I can change it. I'll sort in descending order. Then we have Sweden at the top here. We have Brazil. We can sort by age, 20, 21, 22 in ascending order. Then we can do it by descending order. So that's it, guys, about sorting in a list view. Remember to share, like, and subscribe to my channel to get more content like this. I'll see you in the next one.